Welcome to another episode of Dear Christiano. I like to get straight to the point, so there's no fluff, there's no need to get into what's going on today. I want to talk about something that I go through a lot and I have throughout most of my life. And there's been periods where it's been more intense than others, and times when it's just not happening at all. And that is what we call fantasy world, dreaming versus escaping. Now, when does dreaming about a better life help us create it? And when does it stop us from actually living the life that we have? So that's really what I want to delve into today. So let's kind of talk about some of the lives that I have created in my head. I want to talk about some of the fantasies that I've created. Now, when I was younger, and this is like 15, 16, 17. I was in the closet then, right? I had no friends really. I used to play tennis a lot. I loved tennis, like I was obsessed with it. And I had this fantasy that I was the number one tennis player in the world, that I won all of the tournaments, that all these people loved me. And I remember thinking about this all the time, especially, I'd follow the tennis tournaments throughout the whole year. And every tournament, I'd be imagining myself winning it and all the things, right? And that was great, but obviously it never happened. I never went professional with playing tennis. I never got anywhere close to doing that as well. But, it wasn't just about tennis. It got so elaborate that I was a tennis player, but also I became a movie star and a singer, and I had a relationship, and I had partners who loved me and adored me. And when I really got down to the depths of it, the real reason I was having these fantasies around that kind of thing was I didn't have any friends. I was anywhere near accepting who I was, at all, especially as a gay person. I'd never spoken to anyone about it. I was so, living, hiding away in my room, that all of this stuff just felt like nothing could ever happen. And I felt unlovable, unworthy. I had really low self-esteem. And so in me being the best tennis player in the world, being a movie star, being a singer, being all of these things, what it really meant to me was that other people liked me, other people accepted me, other people loved me. And if in that fantasy that was true, maybe it could possibly happen. Whether it was in the same scenario or not, that was what I was really longing for. And, of course, over the years, the fantasies got different. As I grew up, I dreamed to be a sports psychologist for tennis players, because that dream of being a tennis player wasn't going to happen. So then I studied psychology at uni, ultimately realized that it wasn't going to be the right thing for me. I ultimately moved into counseling and whatnot, and learning coaching and all of the things. But you see, sometimes the fantasy weaves itself through into something else. So many things have evolved. And, lately the things that I've been dreaming around relationships. I had a dream, just a fantasy around being in like a polyamorous relationship where there was like five of us in the relationship, and this person was this way, and this person was this way, and this person was this way, and they were all different, and they were all fulfilling different needs of me, and I was fulfilling all needs of them, and it was this big kind of lovable thing, which obviously had its chaos and all the things. But it got me thinking about realizing that one person in your life isn't going to fulfill every part of you. And so for me, where I was going with that is that, there was parts in my relationship where I was like, I wish my partner could be like this for me, or like that for me, or blah, 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 blah. And there was a part of me that wanted him to change. And I wasn't fully accepting him as he is. And I realized that I don't need him to change. I need him to be fully authentic himself and grow and evolve. And maybe he can become those things if he wants to be those things. But me wishing those things upon him wasn't helpful. So I started fantasizing all of the ways where other people would fulfill my needs, and it would be great, and all of the things. And so again, I got caught up in the fantasy. Same with my business, when I became a coach. I thought I was going to be, I had this fantasy of running seminars, and there was 10,000 people, and we're on stage, and it was amazing. We're helping all of these people and thousands of millions of people. And it just, you get caught up in the fantasy of wanting something more. And there's a part of me that, wants that because you want the better life that comes from it. You want, again, to be popular or to be liked or to have a great life that comes with having those businesses and the enjoyments of wealth and creating things and supporting people and building abundance and all of those things, right? But the reality is, some of those can lead you towards something, and some of those can have you escaping something. So, why do I do this? What actual feeling am I getting from these imaginary lives? It's acceptance, it's feeling worthy, it's feeling loved, it's escaping reality sometimes, right? Because again, reality can be very different in all these different scenarios and these different fantasies. And sometimes when you're living in a life that maybe you're not fully 100% fulfilled with, or maybe you just haven't achieved what you wanted to, you get caught up in dreaming about it. I'm someone who loves manifestation and trying to be abundant and have that kind of a mindset in that life. And I've achieved so many things because of that. So I love dreaming. I've always been a dreamer from a very young age. But again, sometimes it's fantasy and sometimes it's escaping and sometimes it's actually really dreaming about something in your life that you can move towards. So let's kind of discuss a little bit about dreaming and escaping and what that kind of looks like. Because maybe you're doing this as well. Maybe you're realizing, or maybe you've done for a long time, that you get caught up in a fantasy, or that you're someone who likes to dream. And I love that because dreaming is beautiful. Every time we go to sleep at night, we do dream, whether we remember them or not. So why are we just holding that for that realm and not having it here in the waking life, right? And how can it help you in ways that are possible for you, but also how is it made possibly detracting you? Because it definitely has detracted me in certain ways, because sometimes you'll just live in that world and let the days fall by dreaming and escaping things. And sometimes you're like, okay, this is helping me move towards the thing that I want, because dreaming and manifestation have really helped me and so many people to create so much of the real life that I have right now. So fantasy isn't always necessarily bad, and it doesn't always come into the form that you were dreaming it of, because sometimes there's a feeling that you want, sometimes there's a certain thing that you want, but it doesn't necessarily have to be that thing that you have as well. So it doesn't always have to be bad. But sometimes, especially when, you might be inebriated, you might be in a different, state of mind, you can really disappear into other realities rather than inhibit this one. Now, are these dreams able to inspire you or inspire me? Or are they creating something or helping me escape something in life? Because, as I said, there are so many times where it can be helpful and so many times when it's not. And I know from experience in the past where I've definitely, gotten high and I got myself into, one of these spirals where I'm fantasizing and I'm laying around for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours thinking of a different life or thinking of a life that I really want to have. And sometimes they're similar to where I'm at, or sometimes they're so far away. And I find the further they get away from where I'm at, there's something that I really need to be kind of looking at. Is this because I'm not moving in the direction that I want? Is it because I'm feeling a bit stuck with something? Is it because I feel lost? Is it because I am really desiring this thing here, but I don't know how to get it? Or it feels so far out of reach? Or is it that this is the direction now I want to move into? How do I figure it out? Or is it that, like, the essence of the feeling that I'm looking for is there, and this is my way of kind of pushing myself towards it? Now, I can look at so many of these fantasies and the dreams that I've had, and I'm already living things that I did once dream about. Now, I always dreamed about having a relationship, and it took me 35 years to get into one, and I've been in one for 5 years now. I'm happy. We have a life together. We have pets together. We have businesses together. We travel together. We also do lots of things on our own as well, in a sense, because obviously the stuff that I do here online is my thing, right? Now, when it comes to the stuff, when it comes to our Airbnbs, obviously we own the business together, but my partner goes off and does those things. That's his specialty. That's the things that he likes to do. So He focuses there, I focus here. Of course, we talk about things, and I tell him about the podcast and where I'm going with it, and he'll talk to me about what's going on with the Airbnbs. But ultimately, he does his thing, I do my thing, right? In those areas, so we have our own passions as well, and so for me, that's something that I once dreamed about having was love and someone who I could take care of and could support me and all of those things as well. I once dreamed of living in Bali for many years. I'd come here every year and I'd say at one point I'm going to live here, at one point I'm going to live here, at one point I'm going to live here. Ultimately, again, I've been living in Bali for over 5 years now. So I made a fantasy come true. Freedom, having my own business, getting away from the corporate world. I knew from a long time ago when a lot of these dreams that I've had around, careers and businesses, it wasn't about working for another company. It was about doing my own thing. It was about being in control of my own thing. And ultimately, how it's led to is, again, that's the freedom that I have. Like each day, I don't have to do things. I don't have to come on here and record a podcast. I don't have to go on and look for coaching clients. I stopped doing that. For a long time, for years, I would create content every day, every day, every day, and I would filter through the process of doing what you need to do to get clients. And I stopped doing that almost a year ago because it wasn't fulfilling me. And I was like, you know what? I am going to figure out a way of doing what I want to do in ways that I want to do. So again, I could be at home. I don't have to do any of these things because I've created things in businesses that we have that create money for us. And I don't necessarily have to go off and do it. I've made the right smart investments. And currently I'm reaping the rewards of those. Of course, continue to work, continue to do the things. But I've got to a place where before I really needed this was my only thing. And I was really like hustle, hustle, hustle. When I got to a point where I figured out other ways to bring in finances and to support myself through making good investments, then I was able to release the pressure and go, look, you know what? I've got to figure out how I want to run a business that works for me, not just the way that people say you have to do it, because there is obviously many ways to get to somewhere. So again, I once dreamed about having freedom. And I'm now figuring out how do I want to run a business like this. Yes, I've got a podcast, which is fantastic, and I love it. And this is where it's starting. And I'm trying to come here and talk about stuff that's vulnerable to me and in a way that I feel like is like a conversation with myself. And I'm challenging myself to do that more and more. Because getting on here and talking for, 20, 30, 40 minutes to yourself, not everyone can do that. And I know that. And I know that it's a skill that I want to improve upon and get better on. And I've done it for years through different podcasts but now I'm feeling like I'm challenging myself to talk about topics that I don't feel people are talking about. I know people like who's talking about fantasizing and the stuff that they make up in their head and say that this is what I do, right? We all do it, but who's talking about it? I haven't seen it, right? I'm not saying it's not out there. I just say I haven't seen it. So I want to talk about things that feel relevant to me that might be hopefully relevant to you. Of course, I've dreamed of traveling the world and I've traveled to many places and I continue to dream about that. So again, a lot of the things that I've done with a lot of the dreams have come true, and then they might not have come true in the form that I initially thought it was. So my normal was once a dream or reality, and like a dream or a fantasy. Now it's my reality. So there's times where I've, become so busy imagining what's next that I actually do sometimes forget to notice what has actually already come true. And that's important, an important distinction for us to be able to make, because reality is reality. And again, sometimes I'm too quick to move to the next thing, and the next fantasy, especially if I've achieved the thing and I'm satisfied that, what's next. So I have to also accept that, not accept that I'm in reality, to like appreciate it. Sometimes I don't stop to smell the roses. And that's the thing that I've been working on this past, say, 6 to 12 months, is like giving myself the space as well. Now, sometimes I'm veering off and I go into the fantasy, but that's something I've been thinking about, especially lately. Is like, okay, like how often do I fantasize about these things? And is it actually helpful to me? Is me dreaming of having, a relationship with a polyamorous relationship with 5 people where we all integrate our lives and have all these different businesses and we do all these different things and we're like a huge team in all these different ways. Is that beneficial to me in ways that's going to support me and help? Like, is it realistic? It doesn't feel that realistic. So I'm having to also accept my actual life and also accept that I have to let some of these fantasies go. I let some of these unrealistic dreams. And I'm not saying it's unrealistic that I couldn't get in a polyamorous relationship with five people because it's obviously possible, right? There are people out there who have it, but I just don't see it being possible in my life for now, or being something that I want to like. Would it actually fit into the life that I have? Like, would it fit in, and would it be a lot? Because you think of often in the fantasy, me specifically, when I think of fantasies, it's always all the good things that come from it. It's a great thing about having five partners and this and that. But how much more drama would there be? How much more struggle would there be as well? And I'm not saying that like you know, oh my God, it's going to be terrible, because if it's something that you want, you'd make it work. But dreaming of something that is a little bit, it's almost like you shitting on where you're currently at by saying, look, if I had five relationships or four partners, it would be better. How about look at the things that are in your life right now? Me specifically, I'm saying, look at yourself and go, what can you do to make some of those things better? Where are the struggle? Like, again, not one person can fulfill your needs, but you don't need to have five relationships to have other people that meet your needs. And how can you meet your needs, right? So if I talk honestly about where I'm at right now, I'm in a good position. I'm in a better position than I was financially, say, 12 months ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. There was a point where I was really struggling. I was, like I said, I was hustling every day. This was the only thing I had that was bringing in income. And there were months, sometimes months in a row, where I wasn't making anything. I was working, creating podcast episodes every week. I was writing posts every week. I was creating reels and videos every single week and putting them out there, having the conversations and running workshops and running, challenges and all of the things to do. And sometimes this wasn't working out. And that was really hard. And to think I was dreaming about things being easier and having, a more abundance and manifesting other areas of income. And I did that. So I was able to do that. So accepting things like that. Business, again, right now, when it comes to this business that I'm on, I used to have, there was also a period of time when I figured things out where I had, over 20 clients on the books. And that's great. Fantastic. Money is coming in different ways, from people joining, group programs, people doing one-on-ones, and it felt like you were in flow at times. Right now, I just finished off my last one-on-one client that I had. Again, I'm not actively looking for things, so I'm okay with that. And that's one of the reasons why I'm like, what do I want to do with this? How do I want to promote myself, or, show people that they can get support, or is there other ways of doing things where I don't have to do all of that? Like, what is the stuff that I want to do? And is this fulfilling to me anymore? Or is this podcast sending me in a different direction? So again, I'm just trying to take it episode by episode, talk about the things that happen. Again, we opened up other businesses. We've got the Airbnb. We have, a catering company as well that's in a different part of Indonesia. So yeah, like, things struggle and come up, and good and bad. Like, it's so much better. But again, I focus sometimes on oh my God, this part's not working, or it's this part that's this, and like the things that are going wrong. And if I look at it from where I was, say, a year ago or 2 years ago, I wasn't in a position. I was living with my partner. We had, I was living in a small 1 bedroom studio kind of vibe for like 2 years of our relationship, because, you know, I didn't want to have as many expenses. We were living on top of each other. We had 2 dogs and a cat there. It was a lot. And it was like obviously really affordable to do those things. And I had another room where I could work and record and do all of that stuff, because there'd been like, couldn't do it all. But again, it was really affordable. And ultimately, when we started doing things and investing in other things, I realized that we could move to another place, and we got this place, and then we renovated it and we made it our own. We made it happier. And I've been living in a house because to me, I think a tourist, home and comfort is so important to me. Feeling comfortable to just be with myself, especially, how I'm someone who loves my own company. Of course, I also love people and being around the right kinds of people, but I won't put myself in situations where I'm like, oh, that's just not, I'm not going to, like, those people aren't for me. So I'm very good at that. So I needed comfort. And so now we have a beautiful space. Like we have space where, we have a wonderful living area. We have my office. We have a spare room for guests. We have our bedroom. We have an outdoor area for the dogs. It's all beautiful, right? Once upon a time, I was living in a small place dreaming of something more. And now we have it and we took it on for years and years already. So like was able to pay rent for, over 3 years up front just because we were in a position to do that and then make the investment to renovate and do things to make it the way that we like it. And we've only improved it over time as well. So if I look at my life where I'm at, a lot of these things have led me, some of these dreams, not necessarily in the specific way that I'd fantasized it, but it is helping as well. Reality is never going to behave like fantasy because fantasy has no problems. Like I was saying, like it's only the good things. So what happens if I stop thinking this shouldn't be happening and simply say, this is where I am. So what do I do from here? And that's why I'm talking about accepting where I'm at and going like you have achieved, you are moving in a good direction. You don't need to escape your reality, you're creating it. And so yes, there's another area of your life where you've been in limbo because when I'm in passion and I'm purpose and I know what I'm doing and I know where I'm going with my, next moves in my business or with what I want to do with my life, I feel good. I feel so in flow. But when I feel a bit lost in that, and I turned 40 a few months ago, and so the period leading up to that, I felt like this kind of version of like, where did I want to be at 40 and what do I want in the next chapter? Because I also said to myself that, I've always wanted to have kids. And I said, I wouldn't think about it seriously until I got to 40. So over that past, 6 months before I was turning 40, I was like, what do I need? What needs to be happening for me to be ready to have kids? Like if that's something that I'm really ready to do, am I ready for it first of all? And in what way? So financially, time wise, like in the relationship wise, am I ready to give up on certain other parts of my life or, push some of things to the side because I need to be focused in these areas? What would it look like? How would I do it as a gay person, queer couple living in Indonesia? Like all of the things, right? So I got distracted, but I also got like the sense that like the hustle mode isn't right for me. It's not healthy for me. And so I'm shifting around to try to do something. And then, like I said, I'm starting by having the podcast first. And I'm not even promoting anything. I'm not out there going, please like join this. Like, and I get all these emails from people all the time saying, oh, you should be doing this or let me help you with this. And I'm like, I don't need that right now. I just want to get consistent in producing the stuff and feeling good about it and not doing it for the sake of it. Because I don't want a perfect life. I actually want to be in my life and I want to do it my way. And yes, that might take me a lot longer. And I'm okay with that because I'm in a position where I can take my time with it. Perfectionism can keep moving the goalposts. It can be more success, it could be more money, different body, bigger business, different experiences. But sometimes I feel like I'm outside of my life looking in, and that's where I really need to shift. Because what would it actually mean to be fully inside my life, to enjoy ordinary days as well as the extraordinary ones? Because again, if I'm off with the fairies, doing my thing, floating about, living in fantasy life, and then I come back to my life and I just feel like, is this the fantasy or is this reality? Because sometimes when you get so deep into something and you think about it, sometimes there's been times where I've gone down the rabbit hole and it's been like the whole day, right? On and off, not like consistently. Like I'm lying around listening to music and I'm chilling, I'm just vibing, and I'm thinking about this thing the whole day. And like I think about it in complete detail, like to the point like like if I look at the fantasy of like me in the relationship with this five of us into polyamorous relationship, I am thinking about our businesses and how we're intertwined and who's doing what role and the sex life between each person and them being from this place in the world and being a fully interracial twined relationship of all these different parts and the travel that we do and the things that you do with one another but you also do things together. I get really detailed in it, and so for me then you come back to your life and you're a little bit off it, right? You go, this is reality, but that felt real, And so to me, I really want to get to a place that I'm consistently putting the effort in and feeling good about what it would actually mean to be fully inside my life, to really just be living and being okay with just an ordinary day, as well as knowing that there are going to be some beautiful, extraordinary ones. And I've already had so many of them, but not every day has to be that way. Some of the best days can be the easiest days because there isn't anything to stress about, there isn't anything to worry about. But I also want to feel like I am having the direction and a purpose and a passion, and I'm learning something new. So I think that's also something as well. This is like when I can get into to a good routine, and I also feel like the last month, this couple of months, I turned 40. My parents came, we traveled. My partner's family came. My sister's coming. All these things have just. I'm a routine person. If I have a good consistent thing where like I go to bed at 10, I get up at 6:30, I do my morning stuff, I play with the girls, I take the girls out, we go to the gym, and then I get into something like, whether it's today I'm doing my podcast, whether it's tomorrow I'm doing some research or I'm doing this and that, and I have structure, I'm great. But when I get thrown off, it can take me a little while to get back into it. So that is also something that I need to figure out. How do I, instead of fantasizing and getting lost in that, how do I reel it back in easier? Okay, cool. This has been great, but my life is also routine and structure as well as all of the other variables, right? Because visitors and that, like, you want to spend the quality time with them, right? But it's also like, I know how it is. So it's about getting myself in the right spot as well. So where am I landing? I don't need to stop dreaming. Dream bigger. I should be dreaming bigger, especially, if it's things that I want. But what I really am trying to get to clarity with or understand or be in that realm of is that the dreams should be helping build my life, not for me to get lost into it or to disappear from it, Accept what is real. Appreciate what already exists here and now. I do have a beautiful relationship. Of course, if I looked at everything, I could always make something better, right? But humans are humans and we're evolving together and we've grown so much and we've already achieved so much, but there's so much more. So I don't want to get this thing of like, I shouldn't be wanting more, but I should also be accepting where I'm at as well and appreciating it as well. So both acceptance and appreciation need to be living in my life, that gratitude. And I really should start also putting in the work instead of fantasizing and getting lost and escaping here. I really want to be changing what really needs changing and actually consciously creating what comes next. So instead of fantasizing it and putting it all up here, let's do some action. What are some areas I can move towards and feel good about and go, this is where I'm going today. This is my day for studying. This is my day for podcasts. This is my day for enjoyment and friendship. And this is my day for X, Y, and Z. Like really like create some good structure around it so that when I am at peace and maybe I do want to chill and have a little bit of the dream vibe, have a dream that's realistic and helping me move forward and allow those times to be there because I do enjoy it, but also know that the dream is great, but then it's action. What do I want to do from that as well? And so I don't want to stop the dreaming about tomorrow. I just don't want to miss today while I'm doing it. And I think that's a key thing for me to have as maybe an affirmation. Dream big, dream realistically, dream about tomorrow, dream about your future. But don't undermine your current state of mind, the current life. Appreciation, acceptance goes a long way. So I'm not going to stop dreaming about tomorrow. I just don't want to miss today while I'm doing it.